In this section, we'll translate words into symbols. We're going to use the variable x to represent a number whenever we see that in an example. So if I want 6 less than a number, that means I have to take the number and I have to subtract 6 from it. Please make sure that you see the difference between those two answers. 6 minus x is incorrect. If we want 6 less than a number, we have to subtract from the number, not subtract the number from 6. All right, in B, the product of a number and 7, product means times. And when we write a variable times a number, the number always goes on the left side. The square of a number, square stands for an exponent of 2. So that means the number raised to the second power. In D, we're looking at the square root of a number. Square root is the inverse operation of squaring. So that's denoted by a radical, the square root of x. In E, we're asked to find the absolute value of the sum of a number and 7. So there's a couple of different operations going on here. The absolute value is of the sum of a number and 7. So we have to find the sum of the number and 7 first, and sum stands for adding. So there's the sum of the number and 7, and then we want to take the absolute value of that entire sum. So the absolute value goes around the entire expression. In F, we're finding the sum of the absolute value of a number and 7. So we're finding the sum of these two things, the absolute value of a number and 7. A little bit different there. And those actually have different meanings. All right, in G, 3 more than twice a number. So we have to find twice a number first and then get 3 more than it. So twice a number means 2 times the number. So that's 2 times x. And then we need to add 3 to that. We don't need parentheses there because order of operations says that we're going to do the multiplication first anyway, and then plus 3 would be after that. In H, triple the difference of a number and 5. So we're tripling the difference of a number and 5. So we have to find the difference of a number and 5 first. That's going to be difference means subtract. And then we have to multiply that times 3. Now, in order to make it so that the difference happens first, we have to use parentheses around the x minus 5, because normally differences or subtractions have to happen after multiplication. But we have to put parentheses around it here to indicate that we're tripling that entire difference. In I, the reciprocal of 4 more than a number, and we've talked about reciprocals before, so the reciprocal of 4 more than a number. So 4 more than a number is that number plus 4. The reciprocal of that is 1 over that. In J, we're asked to find 8% of a number. Now, 8% means 8 out of 100, but typically you're going to see that written as 0.08. Remember, when you divide by 100, you move the decimal place twice to the left. And so 8% of a number is 0.08 times that number, so times x. 5 less than 9% of a number. We have to find 9% of a number first. That's 0.09 times the number. And then 5 less than that means we need to subtract 5 from that expression. In L, we have this expression cube. That means to raise something to an exponent of 3, and it's the cube of the product of a number and 2. So the product of a number and 2 is 2 times x, because product means multiply, and then we have to raise that to an exponent of 3. But we need to make sure that the product happens first, so we're going to write 2x in parentheses here first, because normally exponents would take precedence over multiplication. In M, we have the opposite of the difference between a number and 4. So the opposite is of this difference, and the difference is between a number and 4. Difference means we're going to subtract. And then the opposite of that difference would be -1 times that difference. And remember, we've got to use the parentheses there to indicate that the difference needs to happen before we take its opposite.